y'all been? I've been pretty peachy keen myself. Over here at Caffeinated Gamers, I've been helping people find their people and feel their game. But I decided I needed to take a little break from my busy schedule of kicking ass and taking names to share some amazing news with you that's got the entire D&D community up in a tizzy right now. But before we do that, I need my daily dose of caffeine. I got a fever, and the only prescription is more caffeine, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I'm done with my Chris Walken impression, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. So, about a week and a half ago, the Dungeons & Dragons community and Wizards of the Coast released that they are doing a new campaign setting that's going to be coming out in August of this year, and we should all be super excited about this because the campaign setting that they leaked was Spelljammer 5th edition. Now, if you are not currently running around like Kermit the Frog going, yay! You really should be right now, and let me tell you why. So, Spelljammer was released in the early 80s during 2nd edition days, and it has had a consistent edition representation from 2nd to 3rd to 4th and now 5th, because it is a fan favorite. And let me tell you why. So, picture with me, if you will, the trifecta of awesome RPG stuff. Because you get the wacky, zany, happy-crappy stuff of sci-fi from any fandom. Take, Star Wars, Star Trek, John Carter of Mars, Alien, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Just pick your poison. It's got that. And then you mix that with the amazing nautical, high-sea, high-spirited campaigns of any sort of nautical adventure. You combine some Buck Rogers in with there, maybe a little bit of Errol Flynn, potentially some Pirates of the Caribbean if you're so inclined. I personally would love to see a Mind Flayer being Davy Jones, but that's just me. And then third, and certainly not least, you've got all the badass races, classes, spells, magic items, and lore that us D&D junkies just vibe off of. So, TLDR, this campaign setting is essentially deep space meets high seas adventures. And if that doesn't psych you out, it really should, because I'm talking about literal dreadnoughts and galleons sailing on cosmic winds throughout the sea of stars, going from planet to planet, and even better, slipping into the prime material plane of every other campaign setting. So you could literally start off in the Forgotten Realms and end up in Greyhawk or Eberron because you went through Spelljammer. So I wanted to provide a little bit of context on how we could tell this was coming down the pipeline from Wizards of the Coast for a while now. The most glaring piece of evidence we got was about 6 months ago when they did an unearthed arcana called Travelers of the Multiverse, which released information for how to play a lot of races in Dungeons & Dragons that are notorious for being linked to the Spelljammer campaign setting. Races like the Astral Elves, which are elves that went from the Feywild up to the stars to get closer to their gods. And then you have the Gif, who are essentially 6-foot-tall hippo men with muskets and a royal navy. You mess with the hippo, you get the clippo. Enough said there. Also, we're gonna be getting races like plasmoids, which are essentially humanoid sentient ooze people. And I just think that's amazing. I'm a big fan of my jelly folks, so I think it'd be really awesome to play as a sentient walking, talking ooze puddle. It just really goes to show how far Dungeons & Dragons has come from the older editions when races used to be classes, am I right? And then you're also getting races like the Hadozi, which are bipedal monkey people that have membranous skin flaps between their arms and their shoulders that let them glide around like flying monkeys. And I just think that's amazing. That's super cool. But we're also getting our bug boy representation with the Thri-Kreen, which there's no better way to put it. They're 6-foot-tall, walking, talking, psychic, psionic, telepathic, praying mantis people with 4 arms. So, of course, I'm geeking out here because I love the wacky, zany D&D races. I love my bug boys, I love my furries, I love my scalies, and all that stuff. We're throwing everything in the kitchen sink into this campaign setting, and I am here for it because that is when Dungeons & Dragons is at its best, when it really is weird with a capital W-Y-R-D, weird. Alright. We also got a little bit of context for nautical exploration and ship-to-ship combat in Ghosts of Saltmarsh because an entire appendix was talking about the ships, the statistics, the crews, the officer roles needed for it, and what ship-to-ship combat would look like, as well as nautical exploration, which I'm not going to say it's going to be a complete palette swap here, guys, because we're exchanging sea for stars, but the rules are already kind of there for the blueprints of nautical exploration and space exploration, so that definitely is going to help as far as the rules education is going to go for something like that. Also, Wizards has just been getting really interesting with the choices of campaign settings and adventure paths they've done in the past couple of years. We started off pretty so-so, pretty milquetoast with your Sword Coast and Forgotten Realms adventures like Storm King's Thunder and the duology of Tyranny of Dragons, but then we started getting really weird with the guys. We started throwing in books like Tales from the Yawning Portal, which brought back a lot of the greatest hits that are all just honestly really weird when you take stuff like Tomb of Horrors or White Plume Mountain and you throw it in there. And it also got a little bit interesting by introducing more prime material planes, with Ghosts of Saltmarsh reintroducing Greyhawk to everybody, which is a lot of people's favorite setting. They also did Eberron, which is about as high magic and futuristic that Dungeons & Dragons has gotten. And also, we went to Demiplanes with Curse of Strahd, which now also has its own campaign book, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, so you can spend all your time in edgy, dark goth horror land if you wish. And we've also literally been to hell and back with Descent into Avernus, guys, so Wizards of the Coast has been getting really weird about this for a while. And honestly, Spelljammer just seems like the natural next step in this line of progression, because they're wanting to give us the greatest hits, and I'm here for it because Spelljammer sounds stellar, so to speak. Pun intended, of course. But that's all my hype aside. Let's go ahead and talk about the actual stuff, the concrete facts, because that's what y'all want. What's going to be in this release? So, Wizards of the Coast have detailed that they are doing a 3-book bundle that also includes a DM screen, a double-sided map, and a slipcase. So the 3 books are each 64 pages. You have the Astral Adventurer's Guide, which is a separate Dungeon Master's Guide for this setting. Now, that's a big deal because Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition has only had to use one DMG the entire time of its tenure so far. So a new one for all the wacky zany space rules we're going to get just makes me super excited. 2, you got Boo's Astral Menagerie, which is another 64-page book that is filled with monsters unique to the Spelljammer setting. Some of them are classics. You got your Solar Dragons, you got your Lunar Dragons, but I'm really hoping we get some of the other ones back, like asteroid-sized beholders, and I really want to see more with the Gith and the Mind Flayers and the beholders in general. It's like all the creepy stuff, all the weird things that honestly we can't have an answer for why they're in a setting. I want in this setting because it would make sense for them to be there. And then the 3rd book is the Light of Zaraxis, which is an adventure path meant for 5th to 8th level characters, and it's supposed to be broken up into 12 separate episodic adventures that ends on a cliffhanger every time except for the conclusion, which I don't know about y'all, but I'm super into that sort of narrative trend because that really reminds me of the type of media that inspired Spelljammer in the first place, with all these episodic swashbuckling stories that you're going to get out of Buck Rogers or you're going to get out of Flash Gordon, and I'm just here for it. That being said, we are also getting a full 4-section Dungeon Master's screen that's going to have rules exclusive to exploring and having random encounters in the astral plane, which is entirely necessary because if we're going to be in a campaign setting where we're going to have some wacky stuff happening, like you sail for like 72 days and all of a sudden a black hole pops out of nowhere and a psychic kraken pops out and it spits out an asteroid-sized beholder to attack your ship, we could probably use some new rules for that stuff, because as awesome as that is, this is kind of a new territory for 5th edition, but I'm looking to explore that uncharted territory, and I'm super excited about it. It also comes with a double-sided map for the Rock of Brawl, and the Rock of Brawl is a floating asteroid with a city mined into it that is going to act as sort of an adventure hub for players in your campaign setting, but also can provide plenty of hooks in its own right, and it's probably going to be used heavily in the Light of Zaraxis adventure path. I kind of like to look at this as sort of like a floating Mos Eisley cantina in space, and that just sounds super cool to me. And that's all that's actually coming in the bundle itself, but there's also the alternative art versions. So the regular covers are amazing, but this is Wizards, so of course for their big bundles they're releasing alt art covers, and the alt art covers look fantastic. You got, on the Astral Adventurer's Guide, you got the head of a Gith just looking at you, you know, mean mugging you. And then on Boo's Astral Menagerie, of course, you have the man, the myth, the legend, the miniature giant space hamster himself, Boo, looking adorable as ever. And then on the Light of Zaraxis, you have an astral elf. And these all just look fantastic. But here's the big kicker with this stuff. I'm going to go ahead and ask you, how much do you think this bundle would be charged for, huh? I mean, given the fact that Wizards of the Coast on average charges about $45 to $50 for each of their books, how much do you think this bundle would probably go for? Maybe $100? $120? What if I told you they're only charging $60 for this? $60 for 3 books, a unique DM screen, and a double-sided map, all wrapped up in a slipcase, guys. I didn't know we were all playing Rogues today because we're all about to get a steal with this deal, and I'm not even lying to you. This is amazing. I'm still geeking out about it. But that's what's in there. I kind of want to also talk about what I think we're going to see in the setting and what I hope we're going to see. So for sure, we're going to see some of the old classic races pop up. Like we've got a GIF on the cover of the alt art. We also have Boo, so we're going to have our giant space hamsters come back. We're going to have vampire pirates, if you will. We're going to have space clowns. We're going to have lunar and solar dragons. We're going to have exploration where you're going to go like 70 days and explore from one planet to the next, and it's going to be wacky and zany, and the physics is going to be all over the place because this isn't science. This is science in capital letters underlined with an exclamation point lit up by a neon sign. In other words, it's going to look like science, but it's not going to be scientific at all, and it's just going to be fun. And well, for sure, we're obviously getting Spelljamming back, which I'm stoked for. I just love the idea of flying literal ships throughout the stars, catching cosmic winds in my masts, and just sailing to the star to the right and continuing until dawn. Okay, but now here's also what I would like to see in this setting. I think that this would be the perfect setting for the gift with a TH to show up back in, because the astral plane, it's their home plane. And for those of y'all who don't know, Gith are astral pirates that a long time ago were enslaved by mind flayers, liberated themselves, and engaged in a civil war with themselves and split themselves up into the Gith Zerai and the Gith Yonki. And like, this is their setting. They're literally astral pirates. They pop out of the astral plane to raid other realms and all that. So this would be a perfect setting for like the Gith society to be shown in. And then, on that note, I also want to see a lot of lithids and aberrations, such as the mind flayers that originally enslaved the Gith, because the thing I always loved about monstrosities and aberrations in D&D is the fact that you have to ask yourself 2 questions with these. What is this, and why is it here? And the answer is always, I do not know. With a sci-fi campaign, it's perfect for that, because you can have your beholders just floating around in like an information collective. You can have mind flayers who are literally partnered up with aboleths, and they use the aboleth like a freaking ship while they sail around doing all these conniving ploys to rule the world with their psionics and their big brain powers and all that type of stuff. This is the perfect setting for that type of stuff. I want to see Neogi and Umber Hulk flying around on ships. I want to see the Thri-Kreen teaming up with the Neogi and the Umber Hulk in like an insectoid collective. I also would love it if we can do like a Saurian empire where you combine like the Yuan-Ti and the lizard folk and the kobolds, and you just have all your lizard dudes, all your reptile people just in one faction. This is the type of stuff you can get up to in this setting because it's chaotic. So, a long story short, releasing Spelljammer in the last week was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. And I hope y'all are just as excited as I am about this now. And I can't wait for this to come out in August because I gotta get myself a copy of this. Because I want to run Spelljammer stuff in my store. And I hope y'all want to run it in your houses too. Because, say no more, we're pre-ordering this stuff. So if you want it, come in and get it. Because we're so psyched to get it ourselves. And with all that being said, I think that's about it for me. I'm gotta get back to kicking ass and taking some names. So, until next time, stay happy, stay classy, stay sassy, and stay badass. Take care, y'all.